Postpone 20.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the School District of the City of Dearborn for the regular meeting, Monday, July 28th, 2025. I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Al-Jahmi.
Here.
Trustee Barry.
Here.
Trustee D'Ambrosio. Trustee Petlicoff.
Here.
Vice Chair Watts.
She
Okay.
had to leave for sickness, so
Okay.
we wish her well.
Trustee Zahar here. President Mosib.
Here, thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and the executive directors will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is the superintendent's update.
Good evening, everyone. Happy summer. I'm going to go down my agenda list. The first, we always start with the retirements. We have a couple this month. Jennifer Burgess, 28 years of service. Carolyn Burnett, over 10 years of service. If we can thank them and show our appreciation for the work over many years. And the next thing I have is we're going to talk about student achievement with Ms. Faraj. I know we had a very good meeting with Trustee Al-Jami a couple weeks ago, and we're going to continue with that discussion, and we'll let Ms. Faraj come up and talk about, efforts in the district for student achievement, for strengths, areas we need to improve, and how we can continue to move forward and raise test scores as well. And I know Ms. Faraj does a great job leading this process, and we thank her.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I know I have a short presentation. It's not a presentation, but a few slides with some notes. But I wanted to first thank Dr. Maleko for his openness and trust in allowing us to bring forward bold and research-based strategies to improve proficiency. His leadership creates the space for meaningful dialogue between district teams and the board. He actually always encourages us to have open communications. I have not witnessed Dr. Maleko get defensive or refuse to look further into questions or board requests for information or anything of that type. I really wanted to acknowledge that because he has an open mind and always seeking to improve. It is exactly what's needed for our district, and if we're serious about getting better results for all students, that's the approach we should all take, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. He, in fact, supported a team of us going to one of the best institutes I've ever been throughout my career last week, and because of what he heard about the details about this specific institute, he right away approved an additional team who is currently attended as we speak today, and that was a fast move on the side of the principal and the team and processing the paperwork and really going after the speaker multiple times to agree to let us in because she's booked 2 years ahead and there's no room for attendance. I wanted to bring this up. I also wanted to sincerely thank the board for their questions, very thoughtful questions about student proficiency and growth. And really, you are asking the right questions, which is really what we need, a partnership between the board and the district team to improve student achievement. So thank you all for that. We've been having more in-depth conversations about proficiency, which really something we like to hear. And we have some comments about how we are moving forward with this specific work. Thank you for that. Specifically, Trustee Al-Jahmi, he's been consistently in contact with the district team. Also, prior to that, Trustee Barry and Trustee Mosib, and really the entire board. Thank you for that. So how do we strengthen instruction, adding accountability by raising expectations? Because we know that for us to improve, we need to have expectations in place. what is our current reality? We understand we have to acknowledge where we are so we can move forward. We need to improve the number of students meeting grade level expectations or performing at grade level when we are looking at test results. Growth is happening at an excellent level in the district, especially when we compare with neighboring districts and the average growth nationwide. However, overall grade level proficiency gains need to improve. We all know that. Our district team is not in denial, and we appreciate the board for pushing on this as well. There is ample evidence of high impact teaching and learning that can be scaled and amplified across the district. If you look across the classrooms, you will see that we have these great, I don't want to call them pockets, but there's high evidence of what we need to see is what's happening. We need to amplify this and making sure that it's implemented in a systemic way, because when you have a system in place, you can pinpoint where failure is happening and correct it. What is the difference between growth and proficiency? As we all know, the national trend, growth is prioritized. It's prioritized over proficiency, especially when you look at accountability from AASA, which is federal, Every Student Succeeds Act, and the index system in Michigan, the accountability system in Michigan. They favor, or not favor really, but they prioritize growth over proficiency. Growth is weighted higher than proficiency, we all know that. Proficiency and growth targets in our proficiency and growth targets in Dearborn are in line with the index system. In fact, we do not have any of our schools identified for targeted support and intervention by the state, something that we always seek to grow, but how much growth is adequate growth? We must accelerate both growth and proficiency to achieve high levels of achievement. That's what we believe we should be doing. Impact on achievement. This institute that we just attended, and the reason we attended the institute is because this is exactly what we're focusing on. What is making a difference for students to achieve high levels of proficiency? It was presented by Dr. Anita Archer, and according to her, the two main factors that most significantly impact student achievement and that educators can control, because we always say we're going to act based on what we control, what's within our boundaries to control. Curriculum, it's what we teach, and instruction is how we teach it, right? Many times we hear blames, and this is in the field. And we make sure that when we talk about improving student achievement, we avoid using what is impeding achievement. So we understand that these are the two factors or two major elements that we will be focusing on. I added systems here because we understand if you look at schools that are performing high or most of the students are proficient, you're going to find that they function in systemic ways. Systems thinking is where the principal, the staff, the families are all functioning within specific given systems that do not leave room for failure. Systems are essential for improving student outcomes. They must be implemented with consistency, meaning that everybody is engaged in the system. I didn't use the word involved, engaged meaning that they're fully engaged. Fidelity and sustainability in instructional practices. Systems must monitor and adjust. We have to monitor what we expect. So again, if we were to implement systems that results in higher achievement, we must all be engaged in the system. We must all be on board. I'm talking within a given school, within the district. So our priorities that we have started the discussion on, which is something that as we walk through, as we analyze student data, we see that improving Tier 1 instruction, which is the core, we refer to the core as Tier 1, is the foundation of long-term success. In Tier 1, we have to look at student engagement. How many students are answering questions? How many students are paying attention? How do we know that every student in the room gained the skills we intended for them to gain at the end of the lesson? This is what we believe about student engagement. So this is one of the elements of instruction that we really need to focus on and improve. Ensure consistency in instructional design rooted in evidence-based best practices. We cannot just select a practice because it looks good or sounds good. The institute I just mentioned supports everything. Everything they mentioned is grounded in both research and evidence. Also, we have instructional staff that go through different programs in the universities, and in the specific institute, we saw a couple universities sitting with us in the professional learning opportunity to learn how to prepare teachers. Teachers receive different levels of preparation, and we need to make sure that we close the skill gap that we see when teachers enter the district. Even with seasoned teachers who've been with us, we need to re-examine the practices. So to target professional learning and make sure it's aligned to instructional best practices, making sure we are delivering explicit best practices for students or instruction. And strengthen instructional leadership to fully implement a robust multi-tiered system of support. Up until today, we still hear educators referring to the multi-tier system of support is the last level of support where students need intervention. It's truly starting from the time the student enters the classrooms in the morning all the way to the end of the day. It is the core instruction. It's the next level of support, which we call double dose. You've heard it before. And it's the intervention, the triple dose that the students need if they do not succeed from the first and second opportunity. And protect and prioritize Tier 1 instructional time to focus on essential grade level content. One of the things we push, and I know that Mr. Asaili and Dr. Maleko presented at the Michigan Department of Ed about co-teaching and also inclusion for students. We try to push in so that we do not pull students out of that Tier 1 instruction. We do not pull students out for intervention and allow for Tier 1 to be missed by these students. So this is something we need to continue to work on and improve. All of what I've listed, I am not claiming that these are great. We're doing them in the district. What I'm saying is these need to be strengthened, and we will focus on that as we move forward. Teach at instructional level plus grade level support. So students who need it do not only get the extra support, they need to first get the instructional level in the classroom, then we give them the double dose of support. I know this sounds cliche, but a lot of times we tell the principals and teachers, you have the right to say, I want the students to receive the first level, and then you can pull the students out. We do not want to pull out of Tier 1. Again, regarding Tier 1, to improve instruction, we have to raise the support, not lower the expectations. If the material is very difficult for the student, we're not going to go and seek easier material or easier text. We need to break down the text and make sure that we are increasing the we call it scaffolding, meaning break down the text, break down the strategies, and then give the students support when they finish that specific lesson. Offer strategic double dose opportunities, and that if that doesn't happen in system, there's gonna be students who will miss these opportunities. So both for intervention and acceleration. A lot of people ask, how about acceleration? We made it very clear that acceleration will not solve all the issues that we have in terms of achievement. Acceleration is only one dose of instruction, And the primary instruction that will mostly impact student achievement is Tier 1 instruction. What's happening for the 5 hours a day that the students are receiving instruction from 5 teachers. And then the double dose is acceleration, and the triple dose is when the specialists will support students with very specific foundational skills. Leverage time and resources at the district and buildings. And I say at the district because we need to support building principals and teachers in terms of aligning our professional learning with explicit instruction that we're talking about. So if the entire school district community and each school community focuses on explicit instruction by supporting teachers and students, then we are on the road to creating systems that will increase student achievement. Also monitor and support professional learning communities, which is a gift that we have in the district that teachers meet every Tuesday. These also have to be implemented in a systemic way, so we make sure that we are making the most out of it. How are the teachers using that time? Are they talking about their lessons? Are they talking about which students need the support? And when we say that, are we truly putting them in support in a systemic way? So these are the things that we feel we want to tighten, and we want to provide professional development on. Beliefs, these are also, we learned, not new, but also great reminders. Learning is not a spectator sport. One of the things we're going to push is that we're going to engage every student every moment. When the teacher asks a question, how many students are answering? So the belief is every student should be given the opportunity to answer, and there are strategies for that. We have learned those strategies. Everyone does everything. This is regarding students and also adults. Every student is expected to answer, and there are specific skills, as I mentioned, and strategies that teachers can use to give students these opportunities. If you expect it, pre-correct it, meaning that we need to always anticipate what errors are going to take place and teach ahead of time. Teach with passion, we talked about that. How do you engage students? And this is teaching with passion is one of the highest effect size based on Harry's research. The teacher believing in students and believes students can learn. And we say all means all, meaning all students can learn. Students will feel it. They will feel that we want them to learn. And this one, students believing in themselves and teachers believing in students, has the highest effect size on student achievement. Perfected practice makes permanent. We always hear the statement, practice makes perfect. She put it in a different way. We have to be very intentional about the practice, perfect it with the students, and then they will become automatic what they need to learn. So success comes from consistent modeling and correction. She really has a very explicit lesson design that Adam, Lamis, and I spoke at many times, and we hopefully will move on it and make it actionable this year. We have a district school improvement committee. We've always analyzed data. We always identified root causes for the gaps. We know what the gaps are in terms of practice and also in terms of student achievement, what standards they're related to, but we need to move beyond that. We need to move into action and implementation with fidelity is what we call it. Plan professional learning, as I mentioned before, that's grounded in research. Learning science, cognition is largely missing from teacher preparation tracks. We have teachers who have completed university tracks that's 1 year or 6 months or 8 months, and there are many of those that are more common these days. We have tracks that are 4 years, but they do not go over explicit instruction and teach teachers how to teach. So we need to pay attention to that. Ensure equity in instructional delivery. And when I say equity, meaning every student should have the opportunity to be engaged. That's a perfect example of equity. It's not truly like that the jargon equity, what we hear about all the time. Equity in terms of instructional delivery and equity in terms of the opportunity to respond. We want to make sure that also the demographics are not an excuse. They should be considered in instructional design in terms of planning, instructing students explicitly, but not as an explanation or excuse for low performance. Schools are expected to set and pursue rigorous targets based on their own baseline data. The state does put targets for us in place up to year 30-31. They may not be rigorous enough, but we can always work on an internal accountability that's attainable, coupled with targeted professional development, and also with systemic thinking and creating systems that are that do not leave much room for failure. I want to thank you again for being our partners in this conversation. And growth is not enough, we know that. Proficiency is essential for our students to be able to read and perform at grade level, both in literacy and numeracy, in math and ELA specifically. And I really want to invite the board, if you would like to be part of the School Improvement Committee, you're welcome to do that. We will schedule them at times when you are present. And any community member who would like to be on that committee, we will invite them as well.
Great, thank you. Questions? First, Trustee Al-Jahmi.
First of all, I want to thank the leadership team, Glenn and his team, and especially Ms. Fudge. The collaboration and the openness has by far exceeded my expectations, so I thank you for your willingness to listen. When I first came into the board, you know, I was under the impression that nobody's going to listen, and I'm so glad I'm wrong. In saying that, proficiencies is really critical. There's a lot of there's some schools at the 20th percentile of proficiencies, which 70% of the kids are not proficient in ELL or math. And we need to put traction into the, you know, help and improve the proficiencies. In order to do that, you know, in talking to Ms. Faraj, we really have to have some kind of traction, which is the committee, the Student Achievement Committee, leveraging board members here to join in that committee. But at the same time, there would be goals for each school, for the district as a whole, but for each individual schools, goals and expectations. We cannot continue to say, and I'm not saying we're saying this, but we cannot say do the best you can. As leaders at our schools, there has to be goals and expectation. There has to be monitoring throughout the year, and there has to be accountability. At the end of the day, it's accountability. We have great principals, but if we have some that are, you know, need help during the process, then we help them. We're not going to throw them to sink or swim, but at the same time, effort has to be made to bring our kids up to speed. We cannot continue to have kids going into college, you know, having a hard time reading and writing. It really starts early. So accountability at the school level is critical, and this committee, even though it existed, but I think it's being repurposed, will allow us to, like I said earlier, give traction and give visibility to proficiencies and give it the focus that it's needed. At the school level, you know, we have good principals, good leaders, but they need to know what's expected from them. They need to know when they struggle to come to, you know, the executive team, to come to the board. You know, preferably they would, you know, they work well with the executive team and to seek the help needed or the resource needed. We tend to have a lot of, say, EL students, discipline, COVID. were the cause of proficiencies. We're past COVID, and, discipline really starts with strong leadership at the school level. I know there's some discipline issue, but it can't be the reason. ELL students, we have 9,000 ELL students at the district. But in my opinion, 50% of them are not ELL students, because my kids who were born here are ELL students. So my point is, we really need to set the goals and work toward those goals. They're going to be realistic goals. And I do appreciate, like I said, the openness that the district is given and is listening. And working with Ms. Feather has been amazing. She's a very talented individual, as well as Lamise. So I hope we give this the traction and the focus that it needs. We cannot afford to have kids going into high school and very limited math and language art. And what that does when they get there, they end up leaving school because they struggle so much, they feel like they're not competent enough to continue. Correct. And because that that foundation was not there for them. So they're probably smart kids, but because they don't have the foundation, obviously it's going to take away from their confidence. So I ask the district and my colleagues to be supportive of this and join this committee, if they could, to help with the proficiency that's needed, that's low in our district, but also not to follow the state expectation, set our own expectation. The state expectation is 56% is proficient. It's scary. If you go to another country and you say you need to be 56% to be proficient, they would laugh at us. So our expectation, our goal is we want to be the best. So I ask for us to work together and make this happen.
Thank you.
Trustee Petchkov?
I've been on this board a long time, and we've experimented with a whole heck of a lot of devices to try to improve our students' outcomes. And I mean, we've gone from every kind of curriculum style. We've got the school improvement plan. We've got every season there seems to be a new flavor of the month, so to speak, that promises to see improvement, and yet we still continue to struggle. And it's not just our district, it's nationwide.
Right.
So, and I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
Do you see any specific greatest impediment to our being successful? We keep on trying. We keep on throwing different ways of improving our instructional styles and our leadership in the buildings, and yet we haven't found that magic bullet. Can we identify a couple of things that we should really be focusing on first before we start doing all this other?
I truly believe that I also have seen examples of that, where if you focus on curriculum and instruction in a systemic way, where the whole school community is engaged. And for example, if we give teachers professional learning opportunities, we call it professional development, they bring their textbook with them. You are removing a load off the teacher's plate, and you're allowing them to look at their textbook while they learn the new content. And then they go to the classroom feeling confident that they can teach the material, deliver instruction. That's why we say curriculum and instruction. Delivering instruction, every teacher, if you walk into 10 different classrooms, you will see 10 different lessons. If they collaborate on explicit lessons, then there's a higher chance or guaranteed chance that the lesson will result in impactful learning for students. I want to also quote Anita Archer, paraphrase again from last week. She says that students attend school 6 hours a day. based on research, and she really supported every statement she said in research studies that are highly, with high confidence. She says that out of the 6 hours, students attend 4 hours because of transition time and other times. And out of the 4 hours, 2 hours only the students are receiving academic instruction. This is United States and Canada. And this is based on research. So what does that tell you about learning outcomes? She says what you teach is what they learn, and what they learn is what you teach. So teaching and delivering instruction where the rubber meets the road in the classroom will make the highest impact. And I have been in schools where I've seen systems that focus on instruction and push against interrupted instruction. We schedule many things in our schools that are not necessarily academic during instructional time. That by itself is one move we can make where we can say no interruption to instructional time, regardless of what the activity is, or regardless of what we need to do. Protect instructional time from non-instructional activities. That's one factor that will improve student achievement. Give every student the opportunity to respond to what you're asking. That's another move that we can easily move to, and we can provide the professional learning for that. The only one thing I say, it's not fair to expect these practices without giving teachers the opportunity to practice them, principles to walk through and make sure that they're happening in classrooms, and if they're not, how do we support teachers to make sure that's how they're delivering instruction? I have experienced it, I've seen it, and I've read enough research to support these two factors.
Trustee Zahar?
Yeah. First, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thanks, Jamal, for taking the lead on some of this and for everybody. Some of you are sitting out there, and I know we have a lot of people here tonight, and maybe, I don't know how many people are watching. You might think, like, why are we spending 40 minutes talking about this thing in the beginning of a meeting? This is, like, the most important thing that we do as school board and educators. You know, at the end of the day, if we're not preparing our kids to read at a level that's going to make them functional in society, nothing else really matters. So can you explain we use a lot of these catchwords, you know, because we all have read the papers and a lot of people. So proficiency and growth. Proficiency is like, tell me if I'm saying it right. Proficiency is like the goal, where we want them to be, a status, let's say, and growth is, you know, you can be way down here and grow a little bit, and that's great, but you might still be far away from proficiency, right?
Yes.
And we might say, hey, our growth is great, but we're not reaching those levels of proficiency that we want. Is that the challenge that we're facing?
That's one of the challenges that we're facing. If we do not deliver explicit instruction that results in impactful learning, then that's the challenge we face, because if we don't grow enough to be proficient within 3 years or 4 years, we're not making enough growth. If we instruct students at materials or lessons below the grade level they're in, they're going to continue to drag below grade level. If we instruct them at grade level and then give them additional support outside of that core instruction, then you can catch up. It's called catch-up growth. So there's annual growth, what every student makes on a yearly basis, which measures to 1 year worth of growth. And catch-up growth is annual plus catch-up to grade level. So the increments of catch-up will get them to grade level eventually within very few years. It should be 3 years or 4 years, if you are given explicit instruction that's impactfful.
So what I want
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
of course.
proficiency is functioning and passing the state test that's at grade level.
Yeah. I mean, what I want to encourage all community members and parents to do is when you ask questions about this, and somebody might say, hey, you know, we're growing, be like, okay, fine, but are we proficient? Are we at the levels we need to be? And that's the challenge. Like Trustee Pudlichkov said, this is not specifically a Dearborn problem. But
It's a national
Yes, national, it's
dilemma.
generational.
Yeah.
But it's a uniquely American problem, and it's not happening as much in other parts of the world. So, I mean, we need to make sure that we really grab this by the horns. But again, thank you for everything you're doing.
And you will see our principals also showing parents too how to read the reports and what grade level proficiency is and what students need to do to get there. And we know that students who are read to, students who read every night, the research shows that these students, more of them are at grade level than those who do not participate in these activities at home. So we encourage, still use the library, still read at home, and still get engaged in text and print materials.
Trustee Barry?
Yes, thank you. Yes, this was a great report. Trustee Petrikov and Trustee Czar, for a long time, I'm sitting in the seat and I keep hearing this is not just a Dearborn problem, it's a statewide problem or national problem. To me, we're responsible for Dearborn.
100%.
That's where we're at. Trustee Jami, you no longer can claim that you're new to the board. It's almost a year now, so. But the question was, what can get in the way of this work? You answered that question. To me, what I heard listening to you was accountability, but let's take a step further, true accountability. I heard you say goals, building by building, measurable goals, and hold those administrators responsible. We have great administrators, and I agree with you, but if you're not, the best way you can do this is, can't say, we've tried different things that didn't work, raise expectations. And once you do that, and you hold people's feet to the fire, especially at the building level, guess what? Then it flows to the teachers, to the coaches in the buildings, and all of a sudden, hey, there's some great things going on in Dearborn. What's going on over there in Dearborn? And for the longest time, Dr. Malenko, if you agree with me or not, I mean, every time there's a problem statewide, people look to Dearborn to see what are they doing. I would love to see our district become like the go-to. What did they do in Dearborn? And with the work that the team's doing, I'm on board. I'm going to take up your challenge. I am going to serve on that, get involved with that committee, school improvement committee, and support this work. So,
Appreciate it.
and welcome to my world. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Ms. Farage, I have a question, and Dr. Malika can comment. You're saying that schools that have functioning systems are the ones who are doing well on proficiency. So how do you track each individual school, how well they're doing, or they're sticking to their system or implementing those systems?
Qualitatively, classroom walkthroughs will give you indicators that more students are engaged than not. And also growth and proficiency scores using multiple measures, MSTEP and iReady. iReady have multiple metrics, growth, and also stretch growth. Stretch growth meaning ambitious growth, more than typical, right? For evaluation purposes of educators, we use typical growth though. So I wanted to make sure that we do not use many terms that get confusing, but we can set, and we do, we set ambitious goals with every building in the district. That's part of the law. The school improvement plans for each district are on file, and building principals go over that with their leadership team. But the state targets, again, are lax, and they're not as ambitious. Internal collaborative moves like this will push our district forward, and we appreciate the collaboration.
Another thing is, we have been doing now PLCs for about 2 years, or since we switched the whole early release time for educators to get together and do these professional learning communities. Has that had a direct impact on student proficiency?
There has been improvement in student proficiency. Of course, not as
As we
high
want to, yeah.
as we want to. We did a survey in May in terms of the professional learning communities implementation specifically, because we wanted to see the teachers and principals' view on how it's being implemented. It did come out positive. It came back positive. The teachers also asked for some clarifications in terms of how they use the time, and they mentioned that there are some differences between building and building, and they wanted also the protocol to be a little bit more simple, simplified, with jargon-free, simple language, and we did. And we sent it back to principals, who will be sharing that with teachers in August. And again, as part of this work, we will make sure that it's receiving systemic implementation in the buildings. We'll be working with principals on that.
I also heard about barriers, and you said, no interruption to instruction time. But what are other barriers that we're seeing, especially in the last few years? I know cell phone probably usage or among students. Is that a major problem that you see that this board can enact and kind of
Yes.
put these things away?
Any distractor to the educational process is a barrier. In the institute last week, she talked about discipline and behaviors and how you seamlessly embed those with your expectation as a teacher to eliminate them, really. If you expect it, fix it. That's what she called it. And she talked about cell phones, absolutely. Like even us, the 5 days every day until 4:30, we were not allowed to use the cell phone or even put it on the table face down. And we were not allowed to use the computers because research found that these are barriers to learning. And that there were great gains as a result of that. So cell phones definitely in secondary, we need to tighten that. And also distractions in classrooms, even in early elementary. This specific training will show teachers how to deliver instruction with high expectations, and everybody must answer, and everybody must be engaged. So all of these are barriers to instruction and learning.
Sounds good. Dr. Malik?
Yeah, I want to, again, thank you, Ms. Faraj, and thank you for the board for the great questions. And I do agree, Trustee Berry and others, that, Dearborn is, and we pride ourselves on leading and being a model, and I know that's what you're doing, and we got a lot of work to do. This is on every cabinet agenda for discussion. It's linked in. When we did our retreat for both the general administrators and the cabinet, these are big discussion items we're having. It will be on all of my cabinet agendas. It'll also be linked a few things that we were successful. I know a Tier 2 instruction, and board members are supportive of getting the acceleration model implemented this year, so that's a great start as we look to move into the high school, because we know we're doing things at the elementary level. I would also say the reinstitution of our school improvement process with the accountability that comes with that, with the unannounced visits and things that we were able to undertake, with looking at data meetings and tweaking those, is another important area that will continue to move forward and help us with that accountability. So we welcome it. We know we're up for it. Despite challenges, we know we can face it and we can do it for the benefit of our students. So thank you to everyone for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if the school improvement committee schedule can be shared with the entire board, and then the board members can sign up whenever they're available.
For sure.
Thank you. Trustees,
Thanks, Dr. Maleko. Question. Just so we're all, because, these conversations happen in the community all the time, when we're walking around talking about, this is our core. You agree this is like one of our core, this is our core.
Yes.
This is like
Yes.
why we're here, right?
Yes.
Just so that when we have conversations out, when we're not reaching proficiency levels, and this is more rhetorical questions, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. When we're not reaching proficiency levels, is it ever the kid's fault?
No, it's our fault. It's our job.
Right.
To make
Is it
sure
ever
that
the
they're
parents'
reaching.
fault?
Yeah, no, it's our
Yeah,
job.
right, that's-
Now, we need to partner with parents, but it's
we
our.
need to partner, right?
We need to take
But like,
responsibility.
we take this seriously. This is, just so it's clear to everybody.
Yeah.
This is our core job. And this is why we've now spent an hour talking, which is, it's okay. We should
Sure.
spend 5
we-
hours talking
yeah.
about this at every meeting.
Well, I would say, though, there are responsibilities on the part of the parents
Of
and
course.
students en route to proficient, but
Of
it
course.
is our responsibility.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Farage.
Okay, I'll move along. We just completed our 4,000-plus summer school program. Again, it was very successful. I was able to make visits. They're very positive. I know Ms. Ali Bazzi, the entire staff, they did a great job. We were seeing a lot of positive. We don't think we have one of the largest, again, in the state. And that's another area where we give additional instruction for students, but they were excited because it also had enrichment, it had the arts, it had all sorts of things going to make it not only academic but fun for our students. So appreciate everyone involved in that program. I also just want to mention that as far as staffing goes, I know there was a question last month. We're in good shape. You know, we're not anticipating any layoffs. I know that question came up, but we look really good. The HR did a nice job. Any of the reductions we had were through attrition. And I was in Washington a few weeks ago, and I know the board's aware that we were advocating AASA, the National Superintendent Association. We went and we were a big lobbyist to try to get some of the title dollars released from the federal government. I will say that we had a delegate, I'm part of the Michigan delegation, and I serve on the governing board. We also had delegations from every state. We spent 9 hours in Capitol Hill meeting with legislative offices, and we were a success. Just this past Friday, and again, it wasn't just us, but I know AASA had a big push. The money was released. It's approximately $5 million just for Dearborn schools. The entire education budget for the nation is $6 billion. So that money that was already appropriated for through Congress was released. We had, I know our legislators here, local Congresswoman Tlaib's office, Congresswoman Dingell, and other Democrats that signed on to the letter. But we also had support from Republicans in the Senate. There were 10 senators that signed on to say, no, this money needs to go to students. And so we appreciate their support as well, as both sides of the aisle work together to get that funding released. So it was a successful effort. I do have one other announcement on the budget. Today, we know we have on there a resolution, so we're uncertain. Although it's positive news on the federal side, so we'll take the wins for the sake of our students, but we still don't have a state budget, and there's a resolution for the board today. We're asking, the state legislators, and of course our locals are very supportive. I've talked to them that represent us, but we're asking for the state to pass a budget, and we're asking that they not divert about $1 billion out of the school aid fund for other things, including roads or other areas. So that is on the agenda for today. I'd also want to mention that a lot of people are here for the dedication for Mr. Baydoun, and again, the legacy that he had in the district. We did have a meeting at Building and Site to look through logistics. There is not going to be any vote today. I think communications went out, so there won't be any official vote, but we're going through that process, and the Building and Site Committee would report out. But I wanted to mention that because I know people are here right now might expect that there was going to be a vote today, but that was just a procedural plan thing. It doesn't mean anything either way, other than there's some things we need to work through with that as we look at those communications. I also want to mention the potential bond that we continue to discuss. We have Byron and Fisk that's starting with their community outreach, and more to come as we come back in September, where more people are not on vacation, but there have been some focus groups occurring, and our team continues to work, and we did discuss that in Building and Site as well. So thank you, and I am glad that we spent a long time on instruction. That's what we need to do, and tried to go through these other items that are also very, very important to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? Thank you, Dr. Maliko. Next item, please.
Next item is recognition and acknowledgements and acknowledgement of donations.
Donations, but no commendations. All right. Good evening, board members. Superintendent, Ms. Harris, those watching. Ran into somebody in Northville who said they watched our board meetings. So I don't know why he said he's a former Dearborn person, and he lives in Northville now, and he still watches our board meetings. So greetings to all those who are watching the Dearborn Board of Education meeting. The following donations, really, we are very fortunate in our district that we have entities and folks that donate to all of our schools. However, tonight, all of our donations are going to be headed toward Salina, but it really reflects the efforts of what has been going on over there at Salina with the Green Schools Project, and that has been going on now for the last couple of years. And it really reflects how when folks come together and really work at a certain project, the outcomes can be really beneficial. So So for tonight's donations, we're going to start with a donation of 100 custard cups, spoons, and napkins had been offered to Salina Elementary School by the Custard Company to be used for students during the ribbon cutting and opening of the kindergarten natural playscape. And those were very good, by the way. I was there. So a donation of $17,850 has been offered to Salina Elementary School by Michigan Recreational Construction Incorporated to be used for design services for green schoolyards and natural play elements for the kindergarten natural playscape. A donation of 30 trees has been offered to Salina Elementary School by Relief Michigan to be used to provide shade and a tree canopy to shield students from heat and emission. A donation of 10 trees has been offered to Salina Elementary School by the City of Dearborn through the DTE Foundation to be used to provide shade and a tree canopy to shield students from heat and emission. A donation of 11 trees has been offered to Salina Elementary and Salina Intermediate Schools by Keep It Moving, Inc. to be used to provide, you guessed it, heat shelter and expand green infrastructure on school grounds. A donation of a crew of volunteers and the use of a water truck has been offered to Salina Intermediate School by Edward C. Levy Company to be used to dig holes and help plant trees. The water truck will be used to water the trees through October of 2025. A donation of $8,000 has been offered to Salina Elementary School by Michigan Recreational Incorporated to be used to purchase play elements for the kindergarten natural playscape. A donation of design services has been offered to Salina Elementary School by Michigan Recreational Incorporated to be used for concept drawings for the green schoolyards. And a donation of $800 has been offered to Salina Intermediate School by Mr. Khalid Abdullah and Obed Marwa to be used for PBIS student incentives and awards. Thank you all for your donations. It is a partnership that makes this district great, and we appreciate all of those kind donations to our school district.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Stoney. Thank you to all of our donors, and congratulations to Salina. Next item, please.
Next item is approval of minutes. This is going to be the approval of minutes of the following Dearborn Board of Education meeting, Policy Committee meeting, June 23rd, 2025, Board Report 25-01. Executive session, closed exempt material, FERPA, June 23rd, 2025, Board Report 25-02. And the regular P12 meeting, June 23rd, 2025, Board Report 25-03. I'm looking for somebody to make a motion to make any necessary corrections and move the approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Motion moved by Trustee Barry, supported by Trustee Petlishkoff. Any corrections to the minutes of the three meetings? I see no amendments. May I attach unanimous roll to this motion for approval?
Please.
Thank you. This motion has carried. Next item, please.
Chair Moses, since there's none of these.
Yeah, you don't have to
I
read
don't
them.
read all this? Okay, great.
But we don't have any union commentary as we have them on the agenda.